Good morning. Thanks for joining us today. Today is Tuesday, December 13th. Today we'll be going over stats for Santa Clara County as well as the city of Santa Clara. So here we have behind me one of my clients' houses in Sunnyvale, walking distance to downtown Sunnyvale. Let's look at a map really quick to see what area we are talking about. So here is Santa Clara County, okay, heart of Silicon Valley. So this area down here, Morgan Hill Go-Ways, is usually called South County, right? And this is, here are the main cities: Palo Alto, Mountain View, Cupertino, Campbell, San Jose being the largest city in Santa Clara County. So we'll be looking at the county as a whole, and then we will also jump into the city of Santa Clara as well. So here is Santa Clara. All right, so let's look at the stats first. We're going to look at number of homes for sale, pending, number of homes pending, which are in contract, the number of days it's taking to sell the houses, of course, and then the prices. So let's start with the inventory numbers, right, available for sale. So we can see all the cycles, and we can see this last couple of months, inventory has been rapidly declining. So we peaked here in Santa Clara County in July at 1,400 houses for sale. So last month, November, we only had 900 homes for sale, which is more than 2021, but less than 2020, 2019, and 2018, right? So the real number to look at is a ratio between the pendings and the active. So we had 900 and 500 for November. You can see here pendings have declined, right? And we can see the numbers here. So they're flipped here. So there was a lot more sales that happened last year than this year, right? So the number of pendings was a lot higher in 2021, and now in 2022, the pendings are down and the actives are up, right? So we can see the peak of the pendings for Santa Clara County was 1,100 in March. Okay, now we're down to 400 that have accepted an offer that are in contract to sell. So we can see the result of that is the days on market is increasing, right? So compared to the last 2 years, where the median days on market was in the single digits, we're now at 14 days. Then we go back in time, we can see that that was pretty common. So during the crazy times of 2020, 21, and the beginning of 2022, homes were selling extremely fast. So they are still selling quite fast, right? 14 days, which is faster than it was in 2019 and 2018, but definitely slower than it was earlier this year and last year. Let's now look at how much inventory we have. Right, so we have still less than 2 months of inventory. So still quite low on the inventory, but definitely up, right? We can see the trend here is definitely on the rise. Okay, so now let's look at let's of course look also at the median sales prices. So you can see here, median sales price, Santa Clara County, single family home is down. right? So the peak here was almost $2 million median sales price in April, and now we're down to 1.5. So definitely down year over year from last year. If we look back a few years, it's still up quite a bit, right? From 1.25 in 2018 to 1.5 now, 2022. Look at condos and townhouses. So we're going to graph both together, okay? So we can see the darker green line is number of condos and townhouses for sale, and the lighter green line is the number pending. So you can see here it flipped, more pending than active at the end of last year, beginning of this year. So you can see here the column on the left is active, number on the right is pending. So there's more active than pending, right? So we can see at the beginning of the year, it was opposite. And so that means there wasn't enough inventory to supply the demand. And we'll see that in how long it took to sell. Right, so we're definitely up towards what we were seeing in 2018 and 2019, about 3 weeks to sell, right? Where it was close to single digits last year and the beginning of this year, right? So taking a little bit longer on the condos and townhouses for the whole county. And see, we still have not huge inventory, right? So the beginning of the pandemic, we had much more inventory, right? But now we're still at 1.6 months of inventory. So still quite a bit on the sellers, as a seller's market. Okay, so now let's look at sales prices. Here we're down, right? And it's still up from 2019 and 2018, but definitely down from the peak here at $1,060,000 down to $881 median sales price. It's hard to judge this graph because of the axis here, right? The scale. We should zoom in more here so we can see it. Okay, so now we've looked at the whole county, and now let's look at specifically the city of Santa Clara, right? So let's start with the price. We can see here the median sales prices changed quite a bit, right? It's been quite a big variation. So last month it was quite high, 1.7 million, right? Which was a huge increase from October, which is only 1.4. And we look, what I would advise is look at the trend, right? So it's definitely gone up, right? So from 2018, we're at 1.3 up to 1.7, right? So there's been quite a bit of appreciation, and we can't deny that there's been a slowdown, right? So the peak for city of Santa Clara was 2.1 in January of this year, median sales price has now dropped to 1.7. At the low is 1.4. So let's see what numbers we're talking about here. How many homes have sold? So we had 40, right, which is definitely lower than 2018, but up on 2021 and 2019, right? 40 per month. Let's see how many pending for city of Santa Clara. So they're definitely down. So it's pretty consistent the last few years, but we're definitely down. So less transactions, right? But the interesting thing is that those transactions were at much higher prices, right? So that's why the median sales price was 1.7. See this as a chart as well. Okay. So now let's see how long it took to sell. So it's quite fast for Santa Clara. Okay, so it slowed down in Santa Clara, city of Santa Clara, for 2 weeks, taking about 2 weeks, and now it's been one week to get into contract. See how much inventory we got. So we had super low inventory, right, at the last year. Now we're at 1.8 months of inventory. So a healthier amount of inventory, but still under 2 months inventory is what we still consider a seller's market. Okay, so just to recap today, we looked at city of Santa Clara and the county of Santa Clara. So kind of what I'm seeing is the market is definitely shifted, right, from the beginning of this year. I would say big headwinds that we have are the layoffs, right, interest rates, and the stock market. I would say that the tailwinds that we have are sellers have a lot of equity, so they're not being forced to sell at the time. So that's why you've seen the inventory really drop, right? Something in the mortgage news that we've seen in the last couple of weeks is that as inflation has come down, the inflation numbers came out today and they were on a good trend, that the mortgage rates have softened a little bit, have come down a little bit. Definitely not down to the numbers that they were the beginning of the year and last year. But so if you're a buyer, there can be some opportunities out there with a lot less competition right now, but also conversely, there's a lot less homes for sale, right? So a lot less choices. And as a seller, it's still possible with reasonable expectations to sell your house pretty quick because we're still definitely in a seller's market. But prices are definitely down, right? As buyers' purchasing power has decreased. So that wraps up today's stats in Santa Clara, and we will see you next week. Have an awesome day.